Hi, my name is Kat, Artifact Librarian, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be playing my TBR game for the month of August. Now, July did not go well for me. I was a bit slumpy. I just, didn't really feel like reading. So my July TBR, not much of it got read, and I need a little bit of a refresh. So I'm just gonna skip the part that I usually do where I go over the TBR from the previous month and tell you whether I've read the book or not, and then whatever, maybe roll them over or get some prompts. I'm not gonna do that because I just need I need my TBR to feel fresh again, which it's not doing currently. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the random number generator and then the 5 rolls, and then I'll leave my TBR. I think that is good also because my TBR is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every month by doing it this way, because I don't read all the books, or I haven't read all the books in the past 2 months because I have been mildly slumpy throughout most of it. So it's not productive at this point. So I thought, just start over, see where we go, and then yeah, that's it. I will be traveling in part of August, and when I travel, I like to, I just take my e-reader with me because it's a lot more convenient and portable. So I'm gonna try to get some ebooks on here. I have one book in particular in mind that I want to read in August, that if it comes up, I'll tell you about it. If not, I'll talk about it at the very end. But that is one that I know for certain I would like to get on this TBR. Other than that, I don't think I really have anything. So let's just get into it. Start, as usual, with the random number generator and then 5 extra rolls. So here we have the spreadsheet with all the books. I have 493 spaces filled, so between 1 and 493, generate 305. Okay, 305. The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexandra McCall Smith. Okay. Oh, okay. So the random number generator picked the Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexandra McCall Smith. That's the right title. This is the first book in a mystery series about this investigator agency thing, detective agency in Botswana. So we have murder mystery with private investigator set in Botswana. I don't think the author is from Botswana himself, which I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. I do believe that I just checked his bio before filming this clip just to be sure. He did grow up in Rhodesia, so currently Zimbabwe, but he's British. So he's a white dude. So we'll see. It's making me a little bit hesitant, but it could still be okay. We'll see. But so yeah, that is the one that the random number generator picked. And then let's get into the first roll. Starting again where I left off last time. So roll number 1. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Normal prompt. 2. And the prompt is less than 400 pages. That is very doable. So the first prompt gave me a book under 400 pages, and for that I am able to fit in the book that I wanted to fit in that I told you in the intro, and that is The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This is a like dual timeline kind of historical narrative with fantasy elements, like there are sirens, like mermaid type sirens. I've been meaning to try it as like a feminist story about people, you know, women finding their way in a world where there is no equality between men and women, that type of deal. So I'm curious about it. I wanted to read this because when, well, I said I would be traveling, and I'll be on a boat for 6 hours. So I'm gonna need something to read. And I thought, you know what? I'm on a boat. How about I read something with mermaids? That works great, and I think that I could like read this in the time that it would take me on the boat. So we'll see. So I hope to read this in a single day. What I'm a little bit worried about though is the Goodreads reviews. There's a lot of like negative reviews. People are DNF'd. So we'll see how it goes. But I did want to try and fit this in here because I am curious and I want to try it. I obviously like Amelia Hart's previous book, Wayward, was like quite a thing. It won a Goodreads Choice Award, which, you know, it's been around, and I'm kind of wanting to read that too. And so, yeah, I wanted to check her out, and let's start with The Sirens for now. So, yeah, that is the first book on the TBR. Rule number 2. 8. No, 9. No, 8. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. If you've seen my Herked TBR video, you know that I made a little bit of a change to the rules of the thing, where if I reach the end spot of the board, I will just spin a wheel with all the Herked prompts, and then, you know, pick a book that fits one of those prompts, just to make sure that I keep an eye on Herked. So let's do that real quick. I don't necessarily have to read the book for the prompt it comes up. It has to fit that prompt. I hope that makes sense. But okay, let's spin the wheel. So the prompt it gave me was Native American heritage. This is part of the Heritage Month challenge. This is actually a great example of what I said, that the book just has to fit for the prompt. I don't necessarily have to read it for the prompt, because for the Heritage Month challenge, I'm trying to read each of the books like in their particular month, and Indigenous Heritage Month is November. So the actual book for that prompt in Herked I'll read in November, but I can read multiple books by Indigenous authors featuring Indigenous stories for the challenge. So I'll just find different prompts that it works for. But I think I'm gonna go with Love is a War Song by Danica Nava. This is a rom-com about this Native American singer who has gotten into a bit of controversy, and so she sort of escapes the public eye to her grandmother's ranch, and there she meets this cowboy dude, and it's their love story. And so we have like enemies to lovers, hate to love. Like, some people make a difference. I think that like if it's a contemporary romance, like they're not gonna be like actual enemies, but I think that's kind of like, you know, I think it's the same thing, but if you want to make a difference, fine. And like a little rom-com thing, the author is part of the Chickasaw Nation. The female main character is indigenous, so I do think it definitely fits this prompt. So that is my second book for this TBR. Rule number 3. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Normal prompt. And the prompt is an audiobook. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this one. The prompt for rule number 3 was an audiobook, and if you spend a lot of time on this channel, you know that I don't read a ton of audiobooks, so it was a little like, I don't know what to choose for this, but I decided to go with a nonfiction, and that is Invisible Woman Exposing Data Bias in a World Without for Men. Is that the subtitle? It is basically about like how a lot of like medical research and stuff is mostly like experiments and stuff are mostly conducted with male test subjects, with male or men or assigned male at birth people in mind, and so how that leads to problems like, for example, the symptoms, like the common symptoms of a heart attack, are actually not all that common in women, and so women are a lot more likely to die from one than men because, you know, the symptoms of a heart attack in women are a lot less well known than the symptoms in men, for example. So stuff like that seems interesting. I've lately been kind of interested in this topic, so yeah, I'm interested to read this book, listen to this book, and learn a bit more about that. Rule number 4. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we have a goose, so that means a goose prompt. Let's go with, oh, they fall out, this one. And the prompt is 1 prompt, 2 books, so just 2 books for the same prompt. Okay, let's pick that prompt. And the prompt is a middle grade. Okay. Roll 4 landed us on a spot with a goose on it, so that means we have to pick a goose prompt, and I had to pick 2 books for the same prompt, and then the prompt was middle grade, which when I saw that I kind of panicked because I don't read that much middle grade, like 2 in a month seems a lot. But I am currently rereading the Heroes of Olympus series. Now granted, the series like has a lot of like YA potential, but my library still shelves it as middle grade, so I'm just gonna consider it middle grade. I think in my stats it's also middle grade. At least the first book that I have already reread, I think I put that in my stats as middle grade. So I'm just gonna read the second and third book, which are The Son of Neptune and The Mark of Athena. That way I'll get going in my reread, because I think like I wanted to I started rereading Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus with the intent that my reread would be finished in 2022, I think. We're 3 years down the line and I still have not finished it. So I need to get going with it. I really want it to happen this year. I'm quite determined. So the next 2 books will hopefully be read in August. So yeah, that is the 2 middle grade books I'm going to be reading. And then the fifth and hopefully final roll. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. The final roll with a normal prompt. And the prompt is a fantasy. I can do that. And then the final prompt gave me a fantasy book, and for that I'm gonna go with an indie fantasy that I have for a review, and that is Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tekken. This is a like Western cowboy type fantasy. I'm not entirely sure what it's about actually, but yeah, I would like to read it. I will give you a caveat. Tori is a friend of mine, so do with that information what you will. I will review the book honestly, or as honestly as I can. But you know, Tori is a friend, so just giving you a heads up there. But yeah, that is all the books. I don't have anything with me physically, so I can't really hold up anything. But I'll go over all the books. So I have the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith for a pretty random number generator pick. I have The Sirens by Amelia Hart for a book under 400 pages. I have Love is a War Song by Danica Nava for a Herkiad Indigenous Heritage Month book. I have Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez. I think that's the author's name, for an audiobook. I have The Son of Neptune and the Mark of Athena for 2 middle grade books, and that I have Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tekken for a fantasy. Okay, so right after finishing filming, I hadn't even like put my setup away, so that's why I'm still here. I remembered there was another book that I wanted to read in August, and that is Unseelie by Evelyn Hausman, which is the first book in the Unseelie duology. I have read this before. This was my favorite book of 2023. And the sequel is coming out in September, so I would like to reread book 1 so I can just dive right into book 2 when it comes out. So freaking excited! So this is a YA fantasy. It's a quest story. So we're following 2 sisters. And they're actually not technically sisters. They're actually like a changeling. And then the human child that like the changeling was, you know, like put in place of. And their mother was like, yeah, no. She went to like the fairy and was like, I want my daughter back, thank you. And then the fairy's like, okay, here's the 2 babies. You can't really tell the difference by just looking at them, so choose which one you want. And the mother was like, I'm taking them both, thanks. And then they were raised as twins. So I have that, but it sort of plays with the idea that the origin of the changeling myth was actually because of autistic people, and then, or like disabled people in general, but in the book specifically, autistic people, they were like, they're acting weird. They can't be human, so they must be fairies that are being exchanged with humans. Yes, that is the most logical explanation for this thing. So it does that. So the changeling sister is autistic. The author herself is also autistic, and the representation is fantastic. It is everything I wanted when I read it. I really, really loved it. So I want to read it again so I can read the second book. So yeah, that is something that I also would like to get to reread in the month of August. Okay, back to rambly. And that's the TBR. It feels doable, it feels exciting, it feels fun, so I'm really glad that I go to like get this little refresh and, you know, like get a new TBR that I can be excited for. So yeah, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you will be reading in the month of August, and then I'll talk to you in the video. Bye.